they get deeper into the jungle, and you see like that kind of that aspect ratio. And I get that, like what they did, like 9:16, which is kind of like with the bars at the bottom. You know, that's kind of like my favorite way to shoot a movie. It just seems the most cinematic. But I get what he's trying to do as like, you know, they're deep into the jungle, and now the jungle is taking up your entire screen. And also, like, this was shot for Netflix, so it was never really meant to show in theaters. So he did that with in mind the fact that people are going to be watching it on their TV, not on a television screen. And then we meet the landmine removal company. These other French girl, this French girl who kind of, they run into this LAM. It's Love Against Mines and Bombs, and they're a group of two French people and one American, played by Paul Richard Jewell. He played. Was
that him? I thought it was him.
That was him.
I couldn't tell. He lost a little bit of weight, I guess.
I mean, I think he gained weight to play Richard Jewell, maybe.
Sure. He's great, man.
Yeah.
We love this guy. Everything he pops in. He was in the Nancy Kerrigan.
He's in the Nancy Kerrigan, I, Tonya.
Yeah.
And he plays one of the best characters of, like, he kind of masterminds it because
so good.
He wants more people to hire him as a security guard.
Genius.
Oh my God, I wrote down the actor's name, but now I forget it. It doesn't matter. Anyway,
I'll find it.
I like that it's this French girl who kind of started this landmine removal company or charity, and it's her recognition that, like, part of the reason why these landmines are here is her country's fault.
Paul Walter Hauser.
Take
a drink of water, dude. Well, my brother, I could hear him. He's got to quench his thirst as I look up Richard Jewell on Wikipedia. Yeah, but shout out to that guy. He's awesome. He's doing a hell of a job. He's getting a lot of work, huh?
He was also in BlacKkKlansman.
Oh shit.
He was one of the. He was one of, like, the KKK guys.
Well. Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense.
He's a fat white dude, the KKK is kind of synonymous with fat white dude.
Yeah,
But I like how it's she's a French citizen who recognizes the fact that it's almost her country's fault that these landmines are there to begin with. So
because of the French War that happened
because of the French War, and then also because of the American War, because you have the American guy who's with her, and it's kind of this recognition of, like, we realize that, like, this is our country's impact on you, so it's kind of our responsibility to undo this.
Yeah. And
she gives a speech to David, who's Paul's son, about how her family had this rubber plantation in Vietnam, and how they exploited their workers, and that she feels like by starting this charity and going in and removing these explosives, that it's a way of undoing the hardships that the French put on the Vietnamese.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting kind of thing to think. I mean, I don't know if, like, Spike Lee is directly saying, like, if you have the privilege and you come from a family line or from a country that oppressed people, then it's your responsibility to then go and try to fix the problem. If Spike is trying to say that.
Yeah.
But
they were kind of, I didn't care for that angle of the movie, to be honest. Like, that whole, like, and then, like, the little romance thing. Like
I didn't care for the romance at all.
Without that.
Yes, no, and I sort of kind of hate like romantic subplots. In films in general.
I really didn't see the need for that. For that in this one.
General, I think it's kind of it almost seems just like studio mandated.
Right.
That's like we have to get two young people to fall in love when like it doesn't really have anything to do with the actual story.
Right. That's why I was so confused.
It's also seeing two people hit on each other on screen is always awkward. I've never seen a movie where I didn't look at that and I was like, people don't act like that in real life.
Yeah. I know, like there were some lines that were just kind of brutal. Like when she's going to take a leak and she's taking her pants off and she's like, don't you want the first time I take my pants off in front of you to be under different circumstances or something? And it's just like,
that's another thing
what are we doing here? About
Spike Lee is his dialogue is maybe corny is the right word.
Yeah.
He has very corny dialogue.
Okay.
I mean, I always every Spike Lee movie I've seen, there are a few lines that like I kind of roll my eyes at.
Yeah.
That
was one for me.
Yes.
I mean, the acting was fine.
The acting is always great, but there's always just like a couple of lines that are like people would never say that in real life, or just like that was over the top, and that's kind of present in all of Spike Lee's movie. I mean, Spike, he's never about like he's always about like the message of like what the story is trying to say.
Yeah.
You know, he's always about. I mean, the acting is amazing, but it's not really like. I
don't know that I'd use the word amazing. I mean, the acting's good. There's really good performance. I feel like the Bloods, they were all great.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
You know, even the son was pretty good. But especially like the four main dudes were really good. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what is the main like takeaway from this movie? Like what is Spike Lee trying to say? Like I feel like it was more about
this is a movie about generational trauma.
That's a good answer.
It's about generational trauma.
That's why he's in charge here, folks.
It's about how this war that happened in the 60s has a ripple effect. And how if we really want to make amends, then we have to take responsibility, that we have to do something. And I really do think like that the landmine removal charity, like that's where that comes into play, because they're accepting the facts that like our country did this to you, so we kind of have to take the responsibility of undoing it.
Is that a fact that like the French war that happened, what was it, in the 40s, I want to say?
It was directly before Vietnam.
Right.
I mean, I think that the amount of Vietnam still does have a landmine problem. That is a fact.
That's a nightmare.
And it's the idea of a landmine is fucking terrifying.
I know.
You step on it and you hear a click, and then like I mean, what?
Think about what is it? IEDs.
IEDs.
I mean, those are essentially landmines, right?
Yes, but like for a vehicle.
Right. But they're planted in the ground. Yes,
but they're planted in the ground. The idea is terrifying.
Terrifying.
And I don't know if it's directly trying to say that like it was the French who like caused all these to be there. I think it's more just trying to say like the landmines are a result of like the multiple wars of like they went back to back fighting of the French and then the United States. And so, and it's not only landmines; it's just like leftover booby traps still from years ago.
And they don't have they don't expire.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, eventually they might dud, or some of them might dud. I don't know like the mechanics of a landmine.
I wonder like how like you're walking around Vietnam and there's a fucking landmine from 1967 in there. Like that's fucking frightening.